Good morning. Tuesday, August 30th, morning vlog. I'm going to try and start to add a little bit of consistency and coherence to things. So I'm trying to hand you guys a piece of usable advice within each morning vlog. So let's revisit yesterday's most important piece of advice, and that is, so let me remind you of what we discussed yesterday. Yesterday's first piece of advice was to organize your food according to your activity for the day. So from that standpoint, and for how we utilize foods, thinking of how we utilize foods, carbohydrates are our energy food. So we want to organize more foods that are more rich in energy earlier in the day, simply enough. So that's just a step to make. It's a goal to set. There's a lot of different ways to set it. It does not need to be perfect right away. If you already feel like you are having a breakfast that falls within healthy amounts of carbohydrate, then there's no reason to increase it necessarily. But if you are one of those people who are falling into a category where you're simply not giving yourself enough food, or you're starving yourself, you're going through perhaps a mid-evening to a late dinner, through an entire evening without food, and then not eating till perhaps 1 o'clock in the afternoon. If you get lucky, maybe it's 10 a.m. when you first get to work or something, or you first get to the break room at work. You're experiencing too much of a fast. Your body's going to put its metabolism on lockdown, and you're going to struggle with weight loss. And you're going to struggle with mobilizing and metabolizing body fat. So it's a goal to set. It's one we talked about yesterday. It's one that we're reinforcing today. Adding to that, and drawing from experience from some of my workouts yesterday, is, I try to, within my clients at the studio, encourage them to arrive for a little bit of pre-workout cardio, just 5 to 8 minutes, to elevate their body temperature, get their heart rate up, and more so than that, get a little circulation and a little bit of joint lubrication going on. So our joints are a complex series of tissues and mechanical elements that are a lot like any other mechanical machine in our life. So the easiest analogy always to make is an automobile. So, cars are different these days, and it takes very little other than the turn to key for it to be ready to go. But there were times where, certain cars, you'd have to start the ignition, wait for a warm-up process for like a diesel or something like that. Or perhaps your instruction manual will tell you to let the car run for a certain amount of time to allow fluids to travel through the car and for it to be warm enough for it to perform optimally. And it would, the goal and the suggestion was you'd have better engine life out of the vehicle. So my average client age probably falls in the late 40s at this point. So it's exactly what my age is. I'm in my late 40s. So when I wake up out of bed, whether I've trained or I haven't trained, I'm dealing with aches, pains, and certain discomforts. Some of it comes from lack of circulation. Some of it comes from sleeping wrong. Some of it comes from perhaps older injuries. But I'm going to encourage, and it ties into other benefits we've already spoken about, some type of morning activity ritual. So if you're able to set your alarm early enough to go out for a 15-minute to 20-minute walk, brisk walk, that's terrific. Maybe you have a dog to walk. I have to get my dog out, but I don't use that as an opportunity for exercise because, honestly, for the morning, he's just out to do his business. When I take him out for fun, I like to have him out for a longer period of time where he can enjoy himself. But I do use that morning ritual that I'm suggesting for you, and it's not only to start to lubricate joints and to start good chemicals being released by the brain, and to start sending good metabolic messages to the body, and to start caloric expenditure. But it's also, as I said, my safety insurance plan for if something goes wrong with the rest of the day, I have achieved a certain amount of exercise. So, having said that, I'm starting to realize that, and I'm going to change this format where I've just been having you wake up with me, flipping on a light, watching a little bit of YouTube and news, as I ordinarily would in the morning while I prepare my breakfast and then get in my morning exercise. I'm going to try and formalize that exercise and make it a simple full body 2 to 3 movement series that can be your exercise for the entire day. So I've mentioned before, I'm going to reinforce it. There was a recent study done within the last couple of years that suggested that 15 minutes of exercise, I think it might have been 15 to 20 minutes of exercise. You can check on this yourself to be sure that I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying the exact scientific result, but it did. What it did is it decried the value of daily, shorter periods of daily exercise, and perhaps value over that of only working out 3 to 4 times weekly for an hour or more. So I'm a fan of one size does not fit all, and I think that honestly that format, that may well be true, and it may be true that that's effective for some people, not for others. It all just depends on what that core study group was, what their initial statistics look like, where they deconditioned, how much exercise had they before the study, what's their mean age, all of those things. It doesn't matter. Whatever that was, the result was excellent. So it does suggest a lot of good things about morning exercise. Another benefit to morning exercise is one that I mentioned, is you are doing it, if you do it pre-breakfast, which I do, for that reason, you're doing it on an empty tank. So you have very little blood sugar flowing around. You have utilized all the nutrition that you've taken in the night before, and that means that we have one source of our body finding blood sugar to utilize for exercise, and that is to metabolize stored body fat. So whether your body fat is 4%, and that would be a competitive body builder, 14%, well, we're talking about males, 8 to 10% like a performance athlete, 11 to 12% like a fitness athlete like myself, or 50% body fat, and that's a morbidly obese person. There's, of course, a value to mobilizing and taking some of that stored subcutaneous body fat and using it right away. When you stretch into these, and I hate these titles, and when I go through evaluations with clients, I almost never mention the words. They're horribly stigmatic and mentally defeating when you mention the terms obese and morbidly obese. Why are they important? They're statistically relevant because you are at risk of certain conditions that can cause you to die early. That is the most important thing to know about those things. So if I have clients in those areas, I don't mention it during their evaluation. I may not even use a scale or a body fat measurement test to avoid discussing it. I just want to get them into good habits and to move them into a statistically safer place in terms of exercise. So when you are in those areas, and since we have it on the table, and there is some discussion about there's no wrong size to a person. If your body fat if you're above 40% body fat, you don't only have subcutaneous body fat, which people find aesthetically not pleasing. I'm pleased with whatever externally pleases you, but I can never overlook the wellness aspect of things. So if you have too much body weight being carried by too little muscle and you are not doing something about it, you are contributing to your own demise. And that's one thing that I can never support. I can support you in your efforts to improve at whatever size you are, and I'll sit here and I will fight all day long, all night long, and I'll lose sleep trying to help you make those improvements. But I can't say that if you say that I'm 50% body fat and that's okay, that's me, and you don't believe that there are changes that you can make, I will disagree with you respectfully, and I will continue to try and encourage you to make changes, because as well as the aesthetically displeasing part of that body fat is internally your organs are actually being smothered by that body fat. So it's escaping being just trapped between your skin and muscle, and it's actually the body fat at that point is making its way around your organs, smothering them, affecting their function. And there are simply hypertension, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease. Those are just a few of the quickies. You're at a higher level of risk for that. So, for those of you getting started, this morning workout is going to be more organized, and it may be good enough to serve for your entire daily workout. Not as I use it as demonstration, but I'll also suggest how to turn it into your workout for the entire day if you'd like to. Saying goodbye for now, throwing together my breakfast, and you'll see me for a little bit of exercise in a minute.